Hey, we got a great call plan this morning. I know we're already at, I think Evelyn just reported, I think I'm at eight recruits in the base so far. I think we're at 56 in the hierarchy so far this month. Last month we finished at 147 recruits in the hierarchy. And so we want to get out and double that this month. We got a lot of gas left in the tank so far this month. We're right at about the halfway mark. So last week, we had all the top performers the last week speak about all of the successes that we're having. It's crazy, crazy, crazy month last month. So exciting. And I've shared this before, and today's call is going to be a little bit different. But I shared this, actually, I think I just dropped it in the chat room. I don't know that I shared it with everybody, but I think it's sort of worth repeating if I can. Feel like I'm driving and putting on mascara at the same time. If I can just pull this up real quick. So I want to just share this with you. So last month in our hierarchy, we had 144 agents who had a direct recruit. 144 agents in our hierarchy had a direct recruit. What does that mean? We had 144 people making progress, winning, growing their business, like real progress. I think all of us will agree. You get a direct recruit for the month, and you're like, you feel like something good is going on. If you've done it once, you can do it again. We had 73 people in the hierarchy write at least 1,000 points or more. 73 write at least 1,000 points or more. Once again, you're putting money in your pocket. The business is working for you. We had 54 agents in the hierarchy who made at least $1,000 last month. 54 agents who made at least $1,000 a month. That's exciting for guys that are part-time getting it started. We had 34 make over $2,000. We had 28 make over $3,000. We had 17 make over $5,000. We had 8 make over $10,000. We had 5 make over $20,000. We had 4 over 30. We had 3 over 40, and we had 1 over 60 grand last month. So great month, and I expect this month to be better. I just want to share with you guys real quick, just sort of an overview, and then I've got a bunch of different people in the hierarchy that are going to speak today, but it's going to be a little bit different call than just the celebration tour that we had last week. It's going to be a little bit more about fundamentals. Here's what I want to do today. I want to reach out to people today who feel like, yeah, I'm glad that so many people are having success in the hierarchy, but I don't feel like I've really shifted since the quarantine hit. I don't feel like my business, either my business is sort of stagnant, it's sort of where it was when I started the year, nothing's really popping yet, or maybe even with quarantine, maybe even my business has regressed. Maybe it's taken a step back and my cash flow is not where it needs to be or where I want it to be, or my recruiting numbers or my base shop, the production isn't where I want it to be. So today I want to get right into the basics, the fundamentals that seem to be working across the hierarchy, regardless of whether you're new or old, regardless of whether you're a training associate or an EMD, regardless of your experience or skill set with us. What are some of the fundamentals that are working? I want to hear from a number of different people, that just basics that really seem to be working, because a lot of times when we feel like things aren't going great for us, we're looking for sort of like that magic pill. We're looking, oh, what's the one thing? What's that one idea I need to get? And a lot of times it's less about some new idea, and it's about really getting back to the basics and the fundamentals. I was at the gym late last night, me and my nephew. I was there with my 2 nephews and my 2 boys. And I left the gym with my oldest nephew at about a little bit after 10 last night. And he was just asking me for some feedback because, like, I've gotten way stronger lately in the gym. He's like, I just noticed you've made a big move. And he was asking what it was about. I said, my trainer has had me on pretty much a really similar routine, different versions, but a pretty similar routine since about last July. And I said, I've had a lot of growth. Like, I went from really being in, not really good shape at all to being in pretty damn good shape as a result of the routines that, and the training that he's sort of taking me through. I said, but I sort of felt like I plateaued a little bit, and I needed to do something to shock my system. And so I went out and I found this guy who's got like a PhD in exercise science, and dropped one of his 8-week routines into my calendar. And so I'm working out the same muscle groups, but I'm doing different exercises. I'm grouping different exercises together. I'm doing them different ways. And I told him, I said, I think the reason I sort of plateaued was because I was in a routine, and sometimes routines lead to ruts. And I went from a rut that was based on a routine, and I shocked my system. In other words, what do I mean? I still was doing the basic I was still working out the same basic muscle groups, but I was doing it in a new way. And what I did was I shocked my system by changing my routine up. And when I shocked my system and changed my routine up, all of a sudden I started growing again. And like, I've put on a lot of strength really just in 3 weeks since I did this shock. So this morning is really about two things. It's about one, for some of us, getting back to the fundamentals. And then two, I want you to shock your system. If you're not where you want to be, cash flow, team size, team growth, if you feel like you're working like too hard right now and not getting the results that you're really looking for, that you deserve, I want you to consciously do something today, this weekend, where you shock your routines. I was coaching one of the guys in my base shop last night, and he had some things going on sort of in his life, just sort of one of those seasons, and he got out of his routines, and all of a sudden the activities that used to be normal for him and the results that used to be normal dropped off. And then part of it was he started to justify and tell himself a story. And I said, hey, you know what you need to do? I said, tomorrow you need to go out and do like 50 calls and drop 8 new units of activity. And then you need to do that on Saturdays. So now all of a sudden next week, you're starting next week with a bunch of appointments preset. You're shocking, you're finding yourself just how special you are, just how gifted you are, just how easy it is for you to win when you hit the fundamentals and hit them hard. I said, so I want you to shock your system and do what Tony Robbins would call a massive pattern interrupt in what you're doing day to day. And I just know the guy. I know today he's going to go out and do something stupid. He'll probably do far more than I challenged him to do. And it's going to remind him of how special he is. It's going to remind him he's going to win here. And it's going to dramatically boost his confidence. We're going to get that momentum working for him again. So today's call is about that. I want to first get started with Mark Onstadt. Mark Onstadt, if you want to talk about consistency, if you want to talk about, if you're going to copy a cat, copy the right cat. If you want to talk about the master copy worth duplicating, all of those speak to Mark. And here's why I say that. It's not just sort of like, I'm not just sort of throwing words at him or edification. Mark is, despite his success, I think he's at, I just went online the other day. I think he's at like 350 cash flow, if I'm not mistaken. But like, Mark is every day got this blue collar, roll up your sleeves, bring a lunch bucket to work type of work ethic and mentality. Mark Onstadt, despite like the size of his hierarchy and the productivity, despite quite frankly his net worth and how saved up he is, he started reaching out to me a couple months ago and Rob Day and started saying, hey, can I give you guys my activity every day? I want you to hold me accountable. I want to take my game to the next level. So Mark taking his game to the next level is not about some new idea or some new training technique. It's about him taking his activity to the next level. And I'll tell you what, out of all of my SMDs in my hierarchy, all of my SMDs, it's going to be hard to find. You might find another SMD that has the same activity levels, Mark, as far as number of calls and appointments that he sets every day, but you're going to have a hard time finding somebody that surpasses his daily activity levels. He's always practiced the fundamentals. He never strays from it. So I want him to talk a little bit about what do those fundamentals look like and how does he teach that throughout his office? Because what you see in his office is you see generation after generation of people coming in, following this exact process of daily calls and how they score the calls and how they make the calls. And you see generation after generation of guys going out and getting their ring, and then the next generation below them getting their watch, the next generation below them getting their associate and senior associate promotions. And they're all sort of doing it the exact same way with really impressive level of duplication.
All right, let's go ahead and go to
Mark. Would you please Mark it and get on exactly what you're doing? Assume I know nothing, Mark, and just sort of take us from cradle to grave on that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that. I hope it brings some value to you guys today. And Evelyn, Evelyn, I may need to, I don't know if I can share my screen. Let's see here. Yeah, host. Okay, so I may, in just a minute, I'm gonna need to share my screen. I want to share some things with you guys. I'll need the whiteboard, and I'll want to share my screen because I have some scripting I want to share with you guys. But no, I appreciate that, and Christopher, I really do. One of the things that that I think is being very apparent right now in this time that we're in, it's what I've been good at and focused on almost my whole career, is getting good on the phone. You know, obviously with the environment we're in now, where you can't go out and have contact with people, either that or you're going to look like a big dork trying to prospect people like this, you know, with a mask on your face. Anyway, I won't go there. I have some really strong opinions about all that crap that's going on right now with masks that don't do anything. Anyway, all right, back to focus. Making calls. I can make calls, getting good on the phone, right? Reaching out to people and having activity as your focus. I know it's getting back to the basics of activity, and it's really apparent now how like my and I do try to work on my prospecting when we were in normal times, talking to people. I think that's a great skill set. In fact, I think when we're in normal times, that's an unbelievable skill set to have in talking to people, prospecting, because you can see who you're talking to, obviously, and gauge their their maturity, whether they're married or not, with the ring, that type of thing. But having skill sets on the phone, again, is exaggerated, is even more exaggerated right now. And so for those of you that are scared of the phone, or don't think you're good on the phone, don't like your phone voice, it's time to get over that. It just really is time to get over that. I did a class yesterday for Rob Day's team, and I invited everybody to it. I put it out on the team, Team Freedom base shop. I put it out on ours, and we had some people from our team, but mostly Rob Day's team. And I think one of the things I talked about is you just have to realize that and just get over the fact that you reaching out to people is a very normal thing, right? People don't struggle generally with things that they call normal. Whatever you deem normal, if you deem normal going to the store, you don't struggle with that. If you deem normal calling your friends, you don't struggle with that. Whatever you deem normal is what you don't struggle with. And I think you just have to get to a place where reaching out to people, offering opportunity is normal. That's a normal thing. It's okay. There are thousands of people every day, tens of thousands of people every day, and hundreds of companies that employ people to reach out to other people to fill positions. Big companies pay a lot of money to have people reach out and call other people and say, hey, are you open? Would you be interested? As a matter of fact, if you're licensed in our industry, I would be shocked. I probably get somewhere in the neighborhood of, literally, I'm trying to think, just to be completely honest with you guys, I probably get between 3 to 5 at least, and probably way more than that if you look at email, but personal calls, 3 to 5 calls every week, of people reaching out to me from banks, insurance companies, investment companies, broker dealers, saying, hey, here's what makes us different. Here's what makes us great. Would you be open? Now, of course, I'm in the industry, and they know I'm in the industry, and that's the way they're prospecting me. But they call me every day, and I don't go, God, that's really weird. That's odd. Now, I know I have experience in the industry, but the bottom line is people are being paid every day to reach out to see if somebody is interested in opportunity. And you are doing that for your company. So you just have to get over it. I know many of you hold these beliefs. Beliefs I've seen people that hold people back are, well, they're not expecting my call. Okay, so what? They're not expecting my call, or I don't know them, so it's hard for me to reach out to them and start a conversation. I'm going to share some verbiage with you today that I've adjusted in the things that I say that has created less resistance. So I'll share that with you guys. I'll actually put it up on the screen. You can snap a picture of it or whatever, or screenshot it. But get over the beliefs that you hold. I remember one of the people on our team a few years back came to me and said, Mark, I have an issue because I'm reaching out to people, and I know, if I'm calling somebody, I know I'm not offering a salary, so I struggle with that. And it's the things that you tell yourself, the things that you believe that prevent you from reaching out to people. If you really believed that what you have is good and what you're offering is good and what you're doing is viable, you wouldn't have, so the way you get over that, is just by doing it more. First, you have to start with just doing it more. You know, for you to say, well, I'll get better at that. I'll be better at my beliefs about making calls and reaching out to people. Excuse me, guys. I'll be better at that when I'm making as much as you are. It'll never happen. You know, it's Nightingale Conant had this video, this audio I used to listen to. Oh man, I can't remember the name of it, but it was this idea of that belief I just said is like saying, I'll put logs on the fire when you give me warmth. When the hearth gives me warmth, then I'll put logs on the fire. Mark, I'll get as good at that when I'm making as much money as you. That's the cart before the horse scenario, right? You've got to get out of your own way and just realize that it is normal. It may not feel normal to you, but you know how you make it feel normal? You just do it. You just reach out to people. I'm going to share some verbiage with you guys. I'm going to share some verbiage with you guys about that. But here was this person's belief. They said, Mark, I really struggle because I know I'm not offering them a job. I'm not offering them a salary and all this stuff. And this individual, I said to him, I said, hey, give me an idea of who you're calling. And they told me who they're calling, the types of people they're calling. You know, people we reach out to, people that we think have some great skill sets, but oftentimes are overworked and underpaid. I said, look, here's the deal. With their skill set, with what they do, let's use an example. They're a mid-level manager making 50 grand a year. They're a mid-level retail manager or lower level manager making 35,000 a year. Like somebody like that type of a person. This person brought this concern to me and I said, look, think about this. With their skill set, with their degree or lack of a degree, with their level of experience, if you were reaching out to them with a salaried job, what would you be offering them? If you were really paying out of your pocket with your money, with your resources, and you were looking at them, they're high school educated, retail manager making 40 grand a year, what would you really be offering them if you were offering them a job? You'd be offering them what, 42,000? You'd be offering them 45,000. Maybe you'd offer them 35 with a better benefits package. I mean, think about it, like, yes, I understand that we reach out to people that are employee minded and they think like, oh, I'm just looking for a job. I'm looking for a salary. I'm looking for an hourly wage, right? But here's the reality. That's a Band-Aid. If they have a tumorous cancer, a cancerous tumor on their arm and you go, hey, do you want a Band-Aid for that? Like, that's not going to solve the problem. So regardless of what people think they want, with their level of skill, with their degree or lack of a degree, with what they're making now, is any company on planet Earth going to reach out to that individual and go, hey, I know you're only making 42,000 a year, but I have an opportunity where I can pay you a salary of 142,000 a year. Is that really going to happen? And that individual goes, yeah, no, probably not. So would it be better, really, if you were reaching out to somebody going, hey, look, I know you're making 40,000 a year. I have the opportunity of a lifetime for you. I'll pay you 41. I'll pay you 42. It's not going to make a difference. But this was the internal dialogue that was happening in this individual. And I coach him there. You go, God, you're right. That's right. I mean, even if I was offering them that, but that was what was holding them up from making more calls and making more contacts, is they were caught up in what they thought the other person wanted. Look, people you reach out to don't know what they don't know. They don't even know what they want a lot of times. Here's what they know. I have more month left over at the end of my money. I'm underappreciated. I'm overworked and underpaid. That's all they know. Now, if you're going to try to figure out before you make a call, like, well, is this person the right person for what we're looking for? How the hell are you going to know unless you make a call? You've got to just call them, right? You've got to fish with a big net, right? You've got to fish with a big net. So anyway, when I walked that person through that, they went, God, man, Mark, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So. And this person's one of the most successful people in our team, right? And so if you're holding that belief, get over it. Get over it. You've just got to reach out to people. You've got to do it a lot, right? Here's another metaphor for you. Let's say, like, how many of you like to fish? You know, and you can just kind of raise your hands by yourself. I can't see a lot of you anyway because your camera's off. But Like some of you go, yeah. Some of you go, oh, I love to fish. Others of you go, yeah, I fished before. It's kind of fun. Well, imagine, imagine if you got up early. Those of you that are guys or gals, whatever, you get up super early and you drive to the lake or you drive to the ocean, whatever the right time is to fish. But you get out there and you start throwing it out, right? You start making casts. And you arrive at the lake at 5 a.m. and then by 7:30 in the morning, you drive home. You come home and you walk in and your spouse goes, "Hey, I thought you were going fishing today. Like it's 7:30 in the morning. You left at 4:30, you got to lake at 5, and now it's like 7:30. What are you doing?" Well, yeah, the fish weren't biting. They just weren't. Like I didn't have any success. I didn't have any success with my, with my fishing. Oh, well, okay. So you got there at 5. I mean, it's 7 now. So you must have left the lake at 6:30. So you fished for an hour and a half? Like how many casts? Well, I threw it out there once and nothing happened. And I threw it out there like 3 or 4 more times. I changed I put a new worm on it, or I changed the lure, and yeah, I threw it out like once or twice. Yeah, I just came up. Like, all of you know where I'm going with this. All of you know where I'm going with this. It's not, your wife would tell you, even if she doesn't like fishing, your spouse would tell you, it's not enough casts. You didn't make enough casts. Are you kidding me? You threw it out there 5 times and you came home? Like, what kind of idiot fisherman are you? Right? But here's the deal. Those of you that really like to fish, it's about the experience, right? It's the experience of going, man, I was on the lake. Oh, I'm throwing it out there. Even if the fish aren't coming, I've got this beautiful view. It's the anticipation. Like, okay, I changed this lure. I'm calling. I threw it into a different part of the lake. It's the anticipation of the hunt, right? Like, if you could just to prove the point of this. This is a really important point as it relates to prospecting. You went to the lake and there were fish that you could just reach in and grab. You didn't even have to, like, you would just put your finger and the fish would come up and nibble, and then they would just sit there while you grabbed them out of the water. You go, okay, this is okay for like one day. Like, this is boring. This is lame. Like, I like fishing and trying to figure out, like, what's the best lure? What's the best bait? What's the best part of the lake? How can I change what I'm doing to get better at this? The anticipation of the hunt. Well, if you think about prospecting that way, now I know some of you are going, yeah, Mark, but I'm not standing on a beautiful lake, right? Well, you know what? Change your environment. Make calls outside. Most of you in Southern California, for crying out loud, make calls outside. Put a picture of a lake in front of you while you're making calls. Do something to change your view, change your perspective, right? Look at your vision board, dream about where you're going, and think of every phone call as a cast, right? As a cast out there, right? Hunters all the time here in Colorado buy elk tags. They go out and hunt elk. They come home year after year. Oh, no elk. But what do they do the next year? They buy another tag and they go at it again. Why? Because it's the anticipation of the hunt. It's the excitement of maybe what's to come, right? And you've got to look at it that way. Like, who could come into my business today? Who can I offer the gift of WFG? Man, what if I could find my Christopher Slayman today? What if I could find my Ed Milet today? What if I could find my Rachel O'Connor, my Nikki Cannon? What if I could find that person today? There's got to be that type of anticipation and the realization that whatever's holding you up, whatever internal dialogue is holding you up, like this one person that I just shared that story with, they came to me and said, here's what I'm struggling with. And I went, okay, here's how you change that. Like, let's think about this realistically. And I helped that person get out of their own way. And now they're one of the best in our team. They're one of the best in our team. Okay, so I want to, one thing I do want to, I'm going to share my screen in just a minute. I'm going to go over the verbiage because I want to hand it back to Christopher. I don't want to take too much time. There's other speakers today. But one of the things that I want to encourage all of you have probably heard me say this unless you're fairly new and haven't heard me speak before. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. We're all looking for results. The results are, I caught the fish. I got the recruit. I made the sale. I made the money. We're all looking for that result. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with being focused on results. You can't control them. You can't control them. And if you can't control them, if you don't get them, then your belief starts to wane. Your belief starts to not go in the right direction. and since you can't control the result, you shouldn't be focused on it. And I know that sounds counterproductive. Like, well, what should I focus on? That's very easy. Activity. So going back to my fishing analogy, if you throw it out there 5 times and you don't catch any fish, it's like the same thing. You pack up your tackle box, take your fishing pole and drive home, go, screw it, this doesn't work. That's essentially what you do when you don't get the result of the fish. But what do? A smart fisherman goes, I'm going to change the place on the lake. I'm going to maybe go out on a boat instead of stand on the shore, or stand on the shore instead of, right? I'm going to throw it into the calm water instead of into the ripply water. I'm going to use bait instead of a lure instead of bait, change my bait. I'm going to work on getting better. That's what a good fisherman does. He goes, oh, this sucks, and throws his pole down because you throw 2 or 3 casts out there and don't get a fish like that. But that's what some of you do. So here's the deal. If you're that person I'm speaking to, then your focus needs to be activity, okay? It needs to be activity. So what is activity? Activity is making the call. Really quickly, so let me see if I can share my screen. Okay, great. Thanks, Evelyn, for allowing me to share my screen. Now I'm gonna apologize to you guys ahead of time. I am not on a touch screen computer. I'm doing this with my mouse, so just bear with me. Okay, so here's the deal. Most of you know this, some of you don't. Back to the basics. How are you scoring your activity? Some of you say, Mark, I can't even remember what I had for breakfast, let alone like what I did today. Like, what did I do to grow my business? How are you tracking your business? How are you tracking your activity? Not even your business. Some of you go, I don't have a business. I don't have a team. I don't have clients. How are you tracking your activity? If the goal is to get the result, write this in your notes. Results, that's what you're looking for, are a byproduct of activity. Let me do the fishing analogy. Fish are a byproduct of casts, right? Fish are a byproduct of casts. Results, money, is a byproduct of activity. You've got to cast it out there more, right? So here's the deal. I can't control my results. All I can control is my activity. So if I make a phone call and they go, oh crap, I went to the message machine. Okay, think of leaving messages as planting seeds. If you plant seeds, is it likely something's gonna grow? Maybe not every seed, but it's likely something's gonna grow. Well, what is a seed? A seed is a message, right? So if I'm on my tracking sheet, I'm going to score 1 point with a message, okay? Now again, I can't control. Well, what if somebody doesn't pick up? Who cares? It's a message. I planted a seed. I left a great message for somebody to call me back. Well, what if I speak to somebody and they tell me to go screw myself? Okay, well, hey, I can't control that. If they tell me to go screw myself or go fly a kite, or they usually don't say that, right? They usually don't say go screw yourself. I'm trying to give you the worst case scenario so you go, wow, okay, well, that's not that bad. Like Mark said, go screw yourself. So that didn't hurt me. So I'm okay. They don't say that usually. They go, no, I'm not interested. Let's say you try to turn them around. It doesn't work, right? Well, guess what? If I speak to somebody, the minute somebody picks up the phone, for me, even for me, as good, quote unquote, as good as I am, supposedly, right? Even in my own internal feeling of myself, I go, man, cool, I just scored 2 points, right? So this is a 2-point score. I get to put, let me just give you this. I get to put 2 S's, right? That equals 2 points. So if somebody I talk to and says, go screw yourself. No, I'm not interested. Don't ever call me again. Go, sweet, I just scored 2 points. You know why I say sweet? Not because I want them to say that to me, because I'm just scoring points. I've made a game out of my business. What if I get really good at the scripting and somebody goes, yeah, I'm willing to set an appointment with you. I'm willing to come to a BPM. I'm willing to do an ASAP appointment. I'm willing to do an F&A. That's a 3-point score. Sorry for my terrible writing there. That's a 3-point score, right? So if you are part-time, right? If you're a part-timer and you're not, I think your goal in this whole scoring deal here, just write these little things down, okay? Write these little, the M, the 2 S's, and the A's. That's kind of the key, if you will. If I'm part-time, I think, especially right now, depending on if you're working or not, and if you're not working, you're full-time, okay? But if you're part-time, I think you should be doing a minimum every day, 15 to 20 points a day, right? So right here, if I left 1 message, spoke to 1 person, and set 1 appointment, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 6 points already with 3 calls. Give me a break. Even if you leave all messages, how long does it take you to leave 15 messages? Like, get out of your own way. But most of the time, if my goal is 20 points, I'm probably going to be making somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 12 calls. And so if you go, Mark, I don't know if I can make 8 to 12 calls to change my life forever. You're out of your mind. You're crazy. You just have to do that. And if you don't want to do that, this isn't for you. Just quit now. Like, spare yourself the pain. Just go stock a shelf at Walmart or something. You're never going to make it here if you can't get out of your own way. If you're full-time, depending on the size of your team and everything else going on, prospecting, this is new prospects, it should be somewhere, in my opinion, between 30 to 50. Probably the most consistent guy on my team is Evan Janis. Evan does like 50 plus points every day, like with his eyes closed in his sleep, like doesn't even, right? And by the way, he's getting ready to hit his ring. And that's one of the things I want to say, before I forget, and he will this month, Evan Janis, I'm saying it right now, is going to have his $100,000 ring. What does that mean? That means that almost every single SMD or every SMD in our office in Colorado Springs will be a ring earner. Man, I'm so proud of that. I don't have the most SMDs in WFG, but man, I got some solid ones. And almost all of them are ring earners, and Evan and Lizzie are going to be the next ring earners, and that's going to happen this month. All right, back to this. So full-time, 30 to 50 points, right? So what is this? If you're doing 30 points, that's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 20 calls. I don't know if I can make 18 to 20 calls. Get out of your own way. You've got to do that, right? So that's a simple key. Okay, so get back to the basics of adding new people to your business. Now, I don't have enough time to do it today because I want to go to a script I want to share with you guys really briefly, and then get off. But I created some other things. Maybe I'll talk about it on another call. I'll completely go through it with Chris. So he can get me on a different time where you go, Mark, but I am full-time and I've got a lot going on. I'm doing interviews. I'm recruiting people. I'm doing ASAPs. I'm doing datas. I don't have as much time during my day to do new prospecting calls because I'm so busy. Okay, great. I have a solution for you. We have a way to score those points as well, right? So you don't have any excuses for not tracking your activity. Yesterday, I did points on calls, but the day before that, all of my points were activities like data collections, interviews, recruits, that type of thing. Okay, so let me unshare this, and I'm going to share one last thing with you guys. Let's see here. Bear with me on my lack of skill. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. All right. So I want to share a script with you guys. I made some adjustments to the words I use. So I do a lot of, obviously I'm doing, I've added some new people on the team, new directs. So I'm doing obviously warm calls. Most of us know how to make warm calls. But when our top 25 calls into warm markets to set appointments and invite people down. But I shared this a little bit with our team, but I've never actually put it into writing. Okay. And so I want to share this with you guys, and I hope this will be valuable. So one of the things that I do when let's say I'm calling a business card or a manager, I call it friendship farming. I don't cold call. Never say cold call. It's friendship farming. If I don't know you, I'm going to friendship farm you. Okay. So let me set this up for you. And I'll tell you why I made slight adjustments to my verbiage when I'm calling like a business card, or I'm adding new names and numbers of people I don't know, so I can recruit them and then build in their markets, right? So the reason, so let's set this up. So let's say I've got a business card of a guy that is a mid-level manager with ABC company, right? So I call him, I say, hey, may I speak to Bob? I goes, yeah, this is Bob. Who is this? Oh, Bob, my name is Mark Onstad. I'm a branch manager with Transamerica WFG here in Colorado Springs. And now I'm going to pick up where you see it here. The reason for my call today is that our company is expanding, and through the process of a candidate search, your name surfaced as an individual who has the background that our management team is looking for. So I just wanted to call and introduce myself and ask if you'd be open to discussing the possibility of comparing your present position with an opportunity with our organization. It wouldn't hurt to talk on an exploratory basis, would it? Okay, so now this is a slight adjustment to the, hey, are your career options open? A lot of times we would say, if I make that same call to Bob, Bob would say, or I would say, hey, Bob, my name's Mark. I'm calling with WFG Transamerica. Here's why I'm calling. Your name was referred to me based on your experience. And I think the biggest objection, if I really look at all the years I've made calls, the biggest objection I get when I'm friendship farming on the phone, specifically on the phone, which is what we're doing in coronavirusville now, okay, is well, where did you get my name? Like, who referred me? You said you referred to me. Who referred me? Or even if I said, hey, I'm calling based on your work experience. Well, where did you get my name? How did you get my name? You always get I find that the adjustment on the verbiage that I've made here to what I say is bringing that question down a lot, right? So I'm going to break it down really quickly and I'll be done. So the reason for my call is our company's expanding, and through the process of a candidate search. So I've already told him. So he goes, where'd you get my name? Well, I already told you, through the process of a candidate search. Like, are you familiar with the way firms will search for candidates based on their work experience? So I get a lot less of, well, where did you get my name? How did you get my name? Some people get so wrapped up in where did you get my name, right? If you grab their business card or something, you don't want to say, well, your business card was on a bulletin board at the laundromat, so I just pulled it off, I called you. That's usually doesn't lend a whole lot of credibility, right? But if I say, hey, through the process of a candidate search, and by the way, guess what? You're the CEO of your company. Guess what a candidate search is? Pulling a business card off the bulletin board at the laundromat or whatever, right? Whatever it is. That's your candidate search. So through the process of a candidate search, your name surfaced as an individual who has the background that our management team is looking for. Now, your name surfaced as an individual who has the background that our management team is looking for. So what does that sound like? What does that sound like? Well, I'm just this little guy, right? I'm just the guy calling you, but our management team, I've got a whole team of people standing behind me, and our management team is looking for people, okay? So if any of you have ever been in an executive suite before, that's why people get executive suites. It makes them, and they're a single person. Somebody walks in and there's a receptionist at the front, and there's a phone system, and there's conference rooms in this big building, but I'm only renting my little, so it makes me look big, right? Or the peacock analogy, right? This little bird, but they fan out their feathers and go, man, that thing looks big, right? So if I say, hey, your name surfaced as an individual who has the background, who has some of the background that our management team is looking for, again, it makes you sound bigger than maybe you are if it's just you making a call. So I wanted to call. I like saying this because it sounds friendly, right? You want to sound, when you're making a call, in my opinion, you want to sound like somebody that person wants to meet. And generally speaking, people want to meet people that sound nice, that sound friendly, that sound like, oh, that sounds like a guy I'd like to meet, right? So I like to say that. So hey, I wanted to call today and just simply introduce myself. So again, it makes it feel like I'm not trying to overcommit you, or I'm not trying to tell you that I'm interested in you for sure, or that our company is interested in you. But hey, I just wanted to call and introduce myself and ask if you'd be open to discussing the possibility of comparing your present position with an opportunity with our organization. I don't think it would hurt to talk on an exploratory basis. Do you? See, I talked about this last night. If you make reasonable requests to people, reasonable people will respond reasonably. Just make reasonable requests. What if the person goes, yeah, and go, Mark, I used your script. I used it. It didn't work. Well, how long did you use it? I tried it for like a day and a half, like straight up a day and a half. Wow. Okay. That's awesome. Right. So here's the thing. It's not what you say sometimes, it's how you say it. So Ed Milet always says this is a business of words, and it is, but it's a business of how you say the words, not just what you say, right? You can say something with passion, with conviction. You can say it monotone, and you're not going to have the same result. So I wanted to add some value to the call tonight, or to the call this morning, just in going through, reminding you of baseline, reminding you of tracking your calls. If you're full-time, if you're part-time, how many points you should really be scoring. And by the way, those 15 to 20 or 30 to 50, that's like 5 days a week easily, if not 6 days a week, if you're brand new, if you're really trying to get it off the ground, right? Mark Cuban, right? Hey, when you're building your business, Mark, how many hours did you work? I worked all of them. So if you have this mentality of like, well, I need my days off. Hey, everybody needs a day off. And I get it, like take Sunday off. But if you're really trying to get things ramped up and get it going, there were plenty of times when I worked for American Airlines. I was part-time here. We lived in Torrance, California. I swear to God, hand on a Bible, I would, on my days off, not all day on my days off, but on my days off, I would literally stand in 3 feet of water. We had a pool in our backyard. It was kind of cool. I'd stand in 3 feet of water. I'd have my names on our pool deck, and I would be blasting out calls on my day off. I go, what if somebody says, no, screw it. I'm standing in a pool of water. Who cares? I don't care. Stop worrying about what people think or care about what you say when you call. Your job isn't to worry about what they think or what you care. Your job is to make another cast. Do you think about what the fish is thinking about? Well, I don't know if the fish wants to get caught today. You make a cast anyway, right? It's your goal. It's your vision. You have a vision of eating a nice fish dinner. You don't care what the fish thinks about it. I know that's a silly analogy, right? Because I know fish are not people, but kind of in the same way. You're silly if you're getting caught up in, well, what does somebody think, or they're not expecting my call, or I don't know them, or this is kind of weird, or I'm not really a headhunter. You got to be careful what you tell yourself. You are a headhunter for your business, and if you don't start looking at yourself as a headhunter, as a talent scout for your business, you will be out of business very, very quickly. So I hope this verbiage and some of these words helped you, because I've made that adjustment, and I get a lot less of the, where did you get my name, right? Because obviously, we're a big company. Through the process of a candidate search, your name came up, your name surfaced as an individual who has some of the background our management team is looking for. So I just wanted to call and introduce myself and see if you'd be open to exploring an opportunity outside of what you're currently doing. I don't think it would hurt for us to talk on an exploratory basis. Do you? It's hard to say no to that question, by the way. Yeah, it'd be pretty painful, Mark. Okay, well, I mean, then obviously that's not the person for me, right? That's the stupid fish. You throw those back, right? You throw those back. That's all I've got.
Stupid fish.
I took way longer than you shouldn't have told me to bring the fire. So.
No. That's good. Here's the importance of that, Mark. Last week we had everybody who was winning. Actually, the last 2 weeks we've had everybody that's winning share their successes. Here's what I wanted to do is, I just know I get a chance to talk to so many people through our organization, and I just know there's a lot of people that are frustrated. Some people, quite frankly, I had some calls over the past couple of weeks. We had so many people winning in the hierarchy. I had so many different people speak the last couple of weeks, and we didn't even get all of them on, that some people were like extra frustrated, because it's one thing for them not to feel like they're doing well, but then when they see so many other people are doing well, it makes them extra frustrated, like, crap, I'm the only one not winning. And that's just not the case. It's not the case. But the key is, what's the recipe? What are the fundamentals? What it's about? Here's what I wanted to sort of, and then we've got Evan Janis still to speak, Yvonne Parker, Paul still to speak. We've got Eugene Mewborn, we got Nikki Cannon. So we'll get them through. We'll just adjust the times a little bit. But here's the importance, I think, of what Mark just covered that's really important for all of us. It's focusing on the activity, not the results. It's focusing on what we can control. You can have a day where literally you put 50 points on the board, and it's like 50 messages and 50 people that just say no to me. But that's a small sample size, even though it seems painful in the moment. Here's what you can do. You can go to bed at night and go, man, I worked hard. I did all the activity that I needed to do. It's like, I said this before with my kids. If my son or daughter comes home, they go, man, I got a C- on that test. But I know they studied hard. They prepared. They worked with a tutor. They had all kinds of study notes and cue cards. Like, if they did all the work, and the best they could do after doing all the work was a C-, they did the work. On the other hand, if they get an A, and I know they put no effort into it, like it just came naturally to them, I'm not nearly as proud of the A that came naturally and just easy to them as I am the effort for the C. I'll give you one more example, the C-. My youngest son, Jack, was at the gym 2 nights ago with my oldest son and my 2 nephews. And my son, Jack, was talking about, he was following a workout that I had given them, that my trainer had given them. And it's a pretty intense workout, especially if you're 14 years old. And he was there with one of his other cousins who's also 14. And my son was sort of mocking, joking, giving a hard time to his cousin, my nephew, about like, oh, man, you should have seen him and how much he was struggling with the workout. Ha, 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 ha. And, you know, boys will be boys. And I just said, Jack, I said, can I share with you something? He said, yeah, what's that? I said, whenever I'm in the gym or in any kind of an environment where people are exercising, the people that are the most out of shape, the fattest people, the most out of shape people, when I see them in there trying to run, trying to jog, trying to exercise, trying to do anything, I said, I've got the most respect and admiration for those people. Because it's hard enough to do this when you're not good at it. When you're out of shape, it's hard enough to do it. But when you're out of shape and it's a public environment and everybody sees you struggling with it and you're clearly out of shape, people can just tell by looking at you. It's not just the physical difficulty of it. It's the mental strength that it takes and the emotional strength. And I just said, Jack, when somebody's really out of shape and they're trying that hard to make progress, they're trying that hard to better themselves, despite the degree of difficulty and despite like the public shaming or the awkward looks, or the way they think people might be feeling about them, I go, that's real courage. And I do everything I can to like encourage those people. A lot of times I'll just say like a silent prayer, like, I hope they keep it up. Good for them that they're trying hard, because that's real courage. And so to me, it's about whether you have a good day on the phones or not. It's not about a good day and results. Did I give it my best? There was my son, Alex, my oldest son. We had another call with a college basketball coach yesterday who's trying to recruit him. And I noticed, like, I've got this wristband on here. We all have seen these. Some of us wear them. This one just says, God's got this. It's from our church. Well, I noticed his said, Mark 12, I think it was 1244, I'm not sure. And so I asked the coach about it. I go, hey, what's that about? He goes, that was our team wristband, our team burst last year. And I said, remind me of what that passage in Mark says. And he says, it's the passage where the Savior's teaching a parable. And the parable is this, is that there was a widow, and the widow came and she was a poor widow, and she gave 2 coins in the temple purse. And the Savior's teaching a lesson. The lesson was this: a lot of people give from their wealth. This lady, this poor widow, she gave all that she had. And so that verse was the verse for their team last year, because he's like, here's what we asked of the kids. Give it all you have. Give it all that you got. Give every practice, give every play, give every possession, give it all that you got. And it was something we kept coming back to if we felt like, not that whether we won or lost, but did we really give it our best effort? And so to me, I feel like that's the same thing. Whether you got the results that you want to or not, give it your best effort every single day. Go all in, give it everything that you got. And some of us may only have 2 coins to give, and others of us may have 50 or 100 coins or 1,000 coins, whatever your talent level is, whatever your energy level is, whatever your skills or experience, but give it everything that you got. I'm not saying you have to work, like Mark Cuban said, like 20 hours a day. Maybe WFG is part-time and it's an hour a day for you, or 2 hours. Maybe you're full-time. Maybe it's 6 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours, depending on your season. Whatever that chunk of time is, though, give it your best effort for that chunk of time and be present. And then when you're at dinner with your family tomorrow, like, give that your best effort. Give them all that you have to give of them. Don't be thinking about work when you're with your family. And don't, when you're at work, be thinking about all these other things. Give it your best effort in the moment. I want to hear next real quickly from Yvonne Paul. I just want to do a quick overview. She, on my SMD meeting, then on our hierarchy call, then on Dan's Synergy General Training, she went over these launch parties. I think it's literally there's very few new things in our system. There's very few new things that show up that I embrace, because I'm sort of a traditional systems fundamentalist. These launch parties are unbelievable. And I know this in leadership, we got to keep talking about the same things over and over until we get enough people on board with the idea. And so, Yvonne, are you there with us? I can see you. I can't hear you. Did you get all dialed up just for us this morning? Do I need to? Looks like your hair's done. You got some lipstick on. You're like, or you got filters going that make you look all made up this morning. I like that. I can't hear you again. That's weird. I see your lips moving. I feel like
Okay.
Oh, wait.
I think we're good now.
Now you're good. Now you're good. Good. Hey, give us like a 5 to 10 minute launch party, start to finish, and then any successes you've had in the past 2 weeks that you've not shared with us. I want the team to wrap their head around this, because we talk about the restaurant example, the baseball example in the fast start, like Ed's been teaching that for 20 plus years. This is the ultimate pre-grand opening. This is the ultimate soft opening. I want you to remind people, start to finish, how do we do it as quickly as you can? And then any successes that you've had with new associates or with existing associates recently.
Awesome. Thank you. So the grand opening is really an opportunity to get in front of everyone. And just think of it this way, you guys. It's not so much them coming into business with you or them doing business with you, but it's who do they know that they know, right? It's like having a chance to create walking, talking billboards, being your advertisement, and getting into another set of markets, not market, but markets. So that's what really the grand opening is all about. It's also known as Friends and Family Zoom, but it's a fun way for you to step up at so many levels. So I actually heard this from Duan, And I thought it was such a genius plan to really put it together, but not only for our newest associate, but for everyone. So even including Michael and I, we're going to be launching ours perhaps this upcoming Saturday or the following Saturday, just trying to work out see who's going to be our special speaker for us. But you know, you got to find a way to get back in front of people. And so I was
wait a minute. You guys are SMDs and ringers. You mean you can do a launch party even when you've been here as long as you have? Are you serious?
Yes, because you never really fully tap into your entire market. Like anyone who says like, oh, I've exhausted my warm market, nah, it's not possible, right? Because you should be making new friends all the time. And if you think you have, it's because you've talked to them once. It doesn't mean that they fully have understood what you do. So you have to get in front of them as many times as possible. We just have to find creative ways to do that. So the first thing is this: understand that you're not being annoying. Like there's no such thing as being annoying if you are blessing them with great education that they don't have to pay for, and they can have an opportunity to support you. So first, get that out of your mind, right? Second thing is doing this grand openings is just getting the word out. Like, who can they refer you to? What if that person refers you to like your next rabbit or your next CEO, right? Can you imagine that? Like, I much rather have an opportunity for them to know what is it that I do, that if they have ever a desire to come into the business, they'll come into business directly with us versus then coming into business with someone else because they didn't even know that I was open for business, right? So you got to get out there for that. And then like the third thing that you find about reinventing yourself is you got to talk to people multiple times in different ways. So following up doesn't mean like you're going to follow up with people like every day. But if you're having a grand opening and it's been a long time since you've done a grand opening, in that case, it's been for us, been years, then it's not like I'm pestering people to come and help me. If anything, I'm having a chance to tell them, hey, we're relaunching our grand opening in this new era. Because yes, we're in a new era, you guys. Business
Absolutely.
will never be the same ever again. So you have to come with that mindset of like, what are you going to be doing? And honestly, I think of it this way. The next millionaires are being made right now. Are you going to be one of them? And if you're not, then why are you doing this business? Why are we making promises to our friends and our family and our kids and our spouses? Like, you got to say, you know what? I'd rather much take the no's. I'd rather much take the fear, because what is way more fearful or dreadful is the fact that I cannot live up to what I said I was going to do. Or even worse, I just didn't make no attempt to. And that's what really kind of like gets me to like, all right, I got to do this. So that's why I told Michael this morning, like, hey, when are we setting up ours, right? Like, yes, number one thing is fear. And everyone has it. Like, even us as SMDs, we're like, man, there's like the spotlight's on us, and we're going to have like Christopher or Nikki or someone else do our grand opening. Like, we should have like so many people on our Zoom webinar for our grand opening. But guess what? It doesn't matter. I'm going to do my absolutely best. I'm going to go and talk to everyone. It's going to probably push me and drive me a lot more. And I think that's the way that you incentivize your team to play all in. Like, you can't call your team out on things if you're not willing to do it yourself. So
that's
you gotta
so good.
So I'm like, hey, you know, it's so much easier for me to call out my MDs, or call out my newest associates, people that have no idea what they're doing in this business, because I have the confidence, right, to do it, because I know that I can do it for them. But then when the spotlight's on us, do we believe the same thing? And if you don't, or you do, guess what? No matter what, you got to put on your big boy pants and you know, all these things that you need to do so that you can perform what you need to do. And so that's what Michael and I are doing. You know, we're going to have ours. We're going to lead from the front, and we're going to max out to those things. But you got to find a way to reinvent yourself. So basically, this grand launch opening for your business is this: having an opportunity to get in front of every single person. Every single person. Been a client, have came to a BPM, have done a one-on-one with you, have done an appointment with you, said no to you multiple times. It doesn't matter. You gotta ask. You don't get nothing from not asking. So you might as well at least ask, because if you don't ask, you already got the no, you might as well make it official. Right? So ask, and if they say yes, terrific. If they say no, then hey, who's next, right? Don't let that be what's going to stop you. And then, that gives you an opportunity to have people be back in front of your business, back in front of what you do. And people appreciate consistency. The reason sometimes people don't support us is because we're not consistent enough. We say one thing one day, do another thing another time, and we kind of like, we're like a flipper. We're like constantly flipping back and forth every day throughout the day. So you got to be consistent. And if they see you in business and you've been in business 5 years now, and they're like, wow, you're still there, considering that perhaps you haven't had a lot of support, but yet you're still there. That's something that's very admirable, and people will support you on that. So that is, do that
Awesome.
and do it again and again and again and again until you have the ability to become the second speaker.
Yvonne, I think we need to do a WFG meme around you, because I think you said something that was golden. We need to put this in quotes, like your picture on it. You don't get nothing from not asking. You don't get nothing from not asking. That's that's great. Here's what I love about what you said, Yvonne, is I literally had this exact conversation either last night or night before with my field trainers on the call. I'm like, Yvonne called this shot 2 weeks ago. Her and Michael have already spent weeks like perfecting the process. We've shared with all of you guys the exact scripts. Here's the text script. Here's the 3-way call script. Here's exactly how you mozo them. Here's how you get the new associate, what pages they cover and how they cover it. Here's how you close with a Google survey, something. I'm like, you guys worked your way through all of the mistakes and really I was so impressed with how much thought you guys put into designing this and refining this. It was unbelievable. But you hit the nail on the head with what you just said here. Here's what I said to my field trainers. I said, leaders lead. Leaders lead from the front. Leaders do things first. What do I mean by that? If tomorrow, Saturday, we're having a traditional meeting in our brick and mortar, we go, hey, we're having a fast start school and it's $5 to come. You know what leaders do? They buy their ticket tomorrow morning as soon as we launch it. What other guys do is then they wait till Monday. And then Monday at the full-timers meeting, they hear about it again, but they still don't buy their tickets. And then the Wednesday night meeting, we talk about it again. They still don't buy. They're like, well, I'm going to go. I'm planning on going. Of course I'm going to go. Of course I'm not going to miss it. But they don't take action. So it's something that's sort of rattling around that they still need to get to. Leaders just like, hey, I need to get this done next. I'm getting it done next. Like Michelle was cracking up. This morning before 7 a.m., Charlie A calls me. If I did a screenshot right now, almost every morning he's calling me before 7 a.m. in the morning. And why? Because when he needs to get something done, like he's calling the home office, he's getting things done before 7. He's getting his heavy lifting done as quickly as possible in the morning. So what you said, here's what I really respect a lot. Number one, you were transparent and go, yeah, we feel the pressure. Like it's a little bit nervous. Like we're going to have Nikki or Slayman or somebody on and like, we got to step up and do this. Number two is we also know that we need to lead from the front. That we need to set the example for our people. We need to go through the process first. That's the same thing we tell the new associate about becoming a client, right? It's like, hey, we need to lead you through this. You need to experience this so that you know what it's like when you're going out to others. And so it's important that leaders, each one of you SMDs out there and each one of you field trainers, like when is your launch party scheduled for? And if you don't know all the specifics, schedule it for a week from now. Schedule it 10 days. We've got a recording of on training on this, and we got all the links for all the materials to help you do it. But you've got to make a decision to schedule it. It's like here's 2 ways that people get licensed. One is once I'm done studying all the pre-test material online, then I'll schedule the test. The stud goes, I'm scheduling the test for this day, and then it forces them to get all the pre-testing stuff done in advance of that day. One is a goal setter, and the other guy is just sort of as things come. Yvonne, did you have something to add before I transition to our next speaker?
Nope, we're good.
You're awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you. The launch parties are here's part of the magic. I want to share one more thing because we've got a stud we just hired down in Oklahoma City who's making $220 a year, general manager at a Walmart, like really, really high ceiling stud guy. And he's just just a great dude. Like I really enjoy my time with him. Like as we're launching his launch party, here's what I already know. He's got a ton of credibility. He's going to have 20, 25 guys on. But here's the thing. There's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 of those guys that are going to sign up for interviews immediately and get on board with us. I want you to just think about this for a second. Their buddy invited them to a launch party. Their buddy got a chance to do the first 2-3 slides. Their buddy got a chance to talk about why he joined the company, what he's excited about, how he sees the company, how he views the company, how he views our relationship. They hear that from him. Then they hear myself or somebody else doing that, the rest of the presentation. Then they join the company. I want you to think about this. Already in their mind, they go, I know what's next. I just joined the company. They're going to do one of those launch parties for me, and I get to be the first speaker. So all of a sudden, all of your objections, like that you might get from building a list and fast starting to making calls, it's like they're already ahead of you. They're like, oh, we're going to do one of those launch parties for all my friends, and I get to do the first part, which it creates exponential growth. But here's the deal. If you don't do a launch party, if you're not doing a launch party for all of the guys on your team, new and old, you don't get to that second and third wave of exponential growth. Super, super, super important. I want to wrap it around. Next person I want to have, Eugene. You on the call with me, Eugene Mewborn of the great Eugene and April dynasty? There he is. I think I need to unmute you, or you need to unmute you, or one of us needs to unmute somebody.
I'll unmute him. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Evan. Hey, good morning, Eugene. So we just got
not Evelyn. She looks better than me.
Yeah, it's another E name, Yeah. Here's what I wanted you to speak specifically about. Since today's about fundamentals and helping guys to get restarted, Mark talked about the importance of controlling your activity, going all in on your activity, not getting consumed with results. You can get feedback from somebody to help you with the results, help you make the shifts like Mark was making shifts in the scripting. Yvonne talked about the launch party for her and teammates and new associates. Here's the next piece of the puzzle that you've done a great job of, Stephanie's done a great job of, and others have, is this activity meeting that you have in the morning that, quite frankly, I learned from you, and we just started this week with my base shop. So would you just speak for a couple of minutes about the activity meetings? How long are they? What's the purpose of them? How do you run them? And what have you seen so far?
Well, April and I talked about it a little while ago, and we implemented in our processes that we wanted to get an activity because with this pandemic going on, you got to make sure that you stay in contact with your teammates and your business partners. Yep. And so what we do is from Monday through Friday, it's 9 a.m. and it lasts for about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Obviously, if there's an event that's happening, like for instance, our Friday meeting with you, we'll get on right after this. And the team is very much aware of that. And that activity, conversation that we have is just basically we're talking about, how many phone calls you made, how many connections did you get, if you set up BPM appointments or one-on-one appointments. And we do that Monday through Friday. And then on Sunday at 7 o'clock, we have we have a results meeting and kind of overseeing and reviewing what we did the whole week. But the nice thing I love about what's going on is that, and especially with Zoom being a part, is that everybody is getting on it and you can actually see them. Yesterday, we had a conversation with one of our MDs, and she's a great recruiter. But we live in an environment where we're all excited about what we do. But when you look at somebody, you can see that she was kind of disappointed in her results or her connections. And we were able to see that and we're able to encourage her that, it's just the numbers. It's just the numbers, because she does outstanding job getting numbers, outstanding job following up. But if we didn't have Zoom or these meetings that we do every morning and on Sunday, we wouldn't have been able to be in contact. Because if you do it on the phone, yeah, you hear their voice. But when you see people, you really know what they're actually thinking because their body language tells you that. So those are the things that we do real quick every week and every day. And now it's starting to turn into activity conversations. It's turned into some daily results of people excited about what they did, which creates enthusiasm of what we're doing, which leverages us to be able to start continually going this on and on and on. And we're staying in contact with people. And it allows us to, push ourselves, push our team, and actually see the results at the end of the day. So that's what we do, Chris.
That's great. That's fantastic. And I'm so glad that you shared that with the group. Eugene, I think your base shop recruiting numbers went from like 3 in March, if I'm not mistaken, to I think you had 14 in April, 12 hit the board.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I learned that from you. I implemented that in my base shop, and it reminded me of a couple of things. Hubert Humphrey, the founder of the company, used to say, "You inspect what you expect." So for expecting activity, we need to inspect it. If we inspect it once a week, then it'll improve compared to inspecting it once a month. But if we inspect it daily, we're constantly making small adjustments to get back on board. Like the first thing I did this morning, I weighed myself as soon as I got up. I do that every morning. I wasn't happy with what the scale said, but because I knew I wasn't going to be happy, but I did it anyway, because that accountability for me gives me the feedback I need to make different choices today, to start changing that in the direction that I want it to. So you've got to inspect what you expect. And if it's a short call and if it's activity based and it's not results based, and we're not beating people up about it, but we're just allowing people the normal healthy pressure and feedback of people going, yeah, I wasn't happy with what I did yesterday, and I want to report it, so that I get just a little bit of pressure in a good way to keep working at the things that are important to me. The other thing I'll say about your Sunday results calls, because I really think the starting point is activity, focus on driving that. But on the results calls, when I grew up in my Let's Base shop, here's what it was. As a full-timer, we didn't have this baseline units that Mark created, this point system, but here's what I was taught. You need to create, as a full-timer, 3 to 5 new units of activity every day. That's either a guest or an appointment. 3 to 5 every day. 3 is the bare minimum, 5 is the goal. So over the course of a week, Monday through Saturday, minimum of 18 new units of activity. The goal was 30. And here's why it was that. Because less than 18, let's be honest, if you're full-time, we wind up directing most of our activity towards appointments because we're trying to make money. But then that becomes like an endless loop of just trying to create activity just to make money in the business. When I push it to 18 and beyond units of activity for the week, not only do I fill up my appointment calendar, but now that activity starts becoming more and more focused towards guest count. Now I'm growing the size of my team, growing my company. So I love the fact that once a week, you're actually checking on saying, where are we on the results? Because at some point, people may be putting in the activity, but they may need feedback on, like Mark said, what pond am I fishing in? Where am I looking for prospects? Or what script am I using? What bait am I using? So that's fantastic. Keep up the great work. And keep sharing it, because I learned something from you.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Yeah. I just learned something from Mark. I got to get a point system going.
Yeah, good. And we'll get that out on Groupie. We'll get the tracking sheets that he uses. There's fantastically simple, but very effective. Evan Janis, I want to hear from next, and then last, Nikki. Evan Janis, he and his wife, Lizzie, had a career cash flow month last month. Where'd you guys finish, Evan? I think like 42 grand for the month last month. Is that what it was between the two of you?
No.
What was it? What was it?
It was 23,000.
Oh, okay. Well, let me ask you this. What was your highest income year before you started WFG?
My highest income year? Well, I was a missionary, so my highest income was like, I think 12,000 or something a year.
Man, you must not have been very good at that missionary stuff if they were only paying you 12 grand, huh?
No, I guess not.
Or is that not the way is that not the way you're compensated, I guess?
Yep. Exactly.
12 grand to making 23 grand last month. Pretty excited. What was your high income month before last month?
I think it was 12,000. Yeah.
12,000. Yes, that's exciting. So you doubled it. The other thing, I just thought about this. Mark said that you and Lizzie are the next ring earners. She called the shop for this month. I also want to give a shout out. Tony and Jimmy Showblow are not far behind you, and they're MDs. So at that point, we'll have all of the SMDs in Colorado as ring earners and active ringers. In other words, sometimes people earn their ring, but then they slump down to 60 grand and they never cross that threshold again. We'll have all of our SMDs in Colorado as active ring earners, and we'll have, I think, and then maybe this month, if not this month, for sure next month, our MDs there too. So, Evan, I wanted you to come on because Mark talked about this point system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're a guy who came in without experience in our industry. You learned sort of just like, okay, here's how I make the calls. Here's the scripts. Here's the activity. Here's the way I keep score. And you just sort of, I think you trusted in the process and sort of told yourself, it's not a matter of if I'm going to be successful. It's a matter of when, if I just do what they're teaching me.
Mm-hmm.
And we just continue to see you grow and grow and grow in your skills, in your confidence, and now in your results in cash flow. And I just wanted you to just share, like, specifically, when are you doing this? How are you doing? Anything that you can add to what Mark said to share, like, firsthand, how is this working for Evan? I'm calling you and Eugene Evelyn this way.
Yeah. So no, thanks for letting me talk on the call, and I really like that new script Mark came up with, and I want to use that. So if you can send that to us, Mark, and then Yvonne, thanks for setting up the whole launch things. We did our first one last Saturday, and we're doing our next one for a new business partner on Windy on one of my on Windy's team tomorrow. So
Leader alert, taking action.
yeah, so we're excited about that, and they're excited. They're really excited about it, seeing their picture on like a flyer and stuff. So, so yeah, I think for me, one of the things Lizzie had said on Monday was, the quarantine will magnify what we were doing before, and so I think, maybe not so much results, because I know every leader and every person on this call has had their good months and their bad months, and I don't think just because someone has a really good month, it means their next month's going to be that good. And the next month, it's just the consistency. And I think for me, what I've seen is, I've seen two things. I've seen people that have had, really high months, but then took the pedal off the metal a little bit. And then maybe their next month wasn't as big. And so for me, I don't want to do that. I know all I can do is all I can do, just put in the best effort I can. But staying consistent with my calls still every day, even though, last month was a good month for us, because I want like a $60,000 month like Rachel, or 48 like Nikki. So, so I think, before quarantine, if we weren't consistent on activity, we probably aren't consistent right now. If we're not consistently writing apps before quarantine, then probably aren't consistently writing apps now. But I think if we just, like Mark was saying, our business is really basic. It's just sticking to the basics. It's not, I don't think we have to make it more complicated, but I think it's actually made it more simple. In my mind, I actually really enjoy working from home now. I know Mark's like, get in the office, and I'm trying to, find a, way of trying to get back in and getting all my stuff set up. But it's actually like made it more simple. I can do like back to back to back a lot more, and not go from place to place. And before the whole quarantine, like if I saw someone's top 25 and I saw people like 4 hours away or in a different state, I wouldn't even call them. And now, like we've closed business in different states and different counties in Colorado that I probably would have never even had it thought in my mind to do that before this. So I think it's actually opened up new avenues, which is really cool. But one of the things I wanted to say is, if you're not consistent or not consistently seeing the results you want to see, ask yourself, why am I not consistent? And what's stopping me from being consistent? And, I don't know, just ask yourself, when are you going to get frustrated at the results or where you're at, and then take the action? Because I think too many times I see people, have something good happen, and then they pull off the gas a little bit, and then they're not, it's just a cycle, like consistent then not consistent, consistent then not consistent, and then they're getting frustrated that they're not seeing the results they want to see. It's just because if you were to stay consistent through the highs and the lows, I think even more consistent through both times, but even in the setbacks, I mean, we've had plenty of setbacks, and I've just stayed consistent in the setbacks and just know that things are going to change. If I stay consistent. So I still do 50 points, but the goal is not to do 50 points for the rest of my life. I like what Nikki said on Monday is, people under management and assets under management, instead of being self-employed, that's really what I want is, people under management. And one of the things Christopher talked to me about my very first wealth bowl, and it stuck with me since, is, he said, at the beginning, you're going to feel like you're putting in like all this time and effort and seeing this much result. And he said, if you keep putting all that time and effort, then it's going to switch. Then eventually you're going to put in this much time and effort and see this much of a result. And so I'm still holding on to that, because I think that's a really good visual, it's for starting a business, and, thinking that if you put in maybe an hour a week and you want to make 100,000 a year, it probably won't happen. Most likely won't happen. But just ending, this is what another thing I hold on to too, is if you do the hard things consistently, then life becomes easy. But if you do the easy things consistently, then life becomes hard. So thinking back to when you started 2020, I would revisit your goals and your dreams and your desires at the beginning of the year, because, the year can still go the way you want it to go. and you can still be consistent as you want it to be, but it's just all about the taking the action part. So is there anything else you wanted me to share, Christopher? I think that's all I have.
That was fantastic. And I think you said a couple of things. Number one, to stay consistent, like when we get frustrated, when we're in a low season, when we're not getting the results, the consistency of the activity, like that's something you can control. And the more time and energy you put into that, the more it gives you the feeling like I'm doing everything I can. What people oftentimes do is they get up in their head. And Tony Robbins says the same, when you're in your head, you're dead. They have a tendency to like get worried and anxious and overthink things. And it's like, if you just keep doing the work, it takes your mind off of the problems or the challenges. And then when you're done, you're like emotionally and physically tired, but you go, God, I'm not out of the rut yet, but I know I did everything I could today. And over a period of time, that pulls you out much faster. On the other side, when you're doing really well and you had like a career month like you guys did last month and you stay with it, here's what happens. Your energy is so good right now. And like everyone you're talking to, you have good intentions, you've got good expectations, and there's this charismatic, charisma is positive energy, right? Coming out of you. You've got this charisma, this positive energy because you feel so like I'm getting closer. It's working. So that's so critical. And you do such a great job. You remind me of my oldest son, Alex, where you're just even keeled. You never get too high. You never get too low. You're just sort of consistent. And nuts like me that our emotions are all over the place. You know, I've always admired people like you that have much more of an even temperament. And I just, for those of you out there who are more even temperamented like Evan is and less of an emotional nut job like me, Hubert Humphrey shared with me, the founder of our company, a lesson back when Milet was like an EMD. I don't even think he was CEO yet. And he said, there's two kinds of leaders. And it wasn't a good or a bad thing. He said, but like a guy like Milet, he said, is like a thoroughbred. He's like this wild horse that you find out in the middle of wherever wild horses still roam, right? I don't know what you call that, the prairie or whatever, but this wild, untamed thoroughbred that has all this, it's like a lightning rod, has all this raw talent and energy, right? He's like, the challenge is you start a race, you put him in the Derby, when the gates go up, you don't know if he's going to run into the stands and trample people. You don't know if he's going to run across the infield. Like, it's just unpredictable. And Hubert would compare himself not to a thoroughbred. He said, I'm more like a plow horse. He said, you just point me in one direction, and I'm just going to keep going and going and going and going, and I'm going to wear your butt out. And it's not one is better than the other. It's understanding and appreciating the differences and learning to harness each one. So if you've got an even temperament like Evan does, like you can just plow, and just as long as you know you got a good goal, a good plan, and just follow consistently, it's going to get you there. It's clearly getting Evan and Lizzie there. I'd say Mark's a lot that way too. If you're somebody who's got a lot of raw energy and sort of a personality that's bigger than life and you sort of wear your emotions on your sleeve, that can work too, but there's a little bit different structure that we need to put together. So I'm so proud of you guys, so excited for you guys. And you don't have to leave the office if you don't want, leave the house if you don't want to, as long as you keep growing that business and making more money.
Nice.
All right. To bring us home, I wish we had more time, but to bring us home, last speaker of the day. Just like I was talking to her earlier this morning when I was picking up this Hellcat for my son. By the way, that thing is crazy fun to drive. If you haven't driven one, you ought to. And for you car enthusiasts, that is a fun thing to drive. I can't wait to get off this call and get back in that thing. I was talking to Nikki this morning, and I didn't tell her this, but I was just thinking it again, like, crap, I'm so freaking lucky. Like, my life has been so blessed. I'm so fortunate that one of those calls that Mark was describing at the beginning of this call went to her. And she answered the call, and she drove 55 minutes, because back in the day, we didn't have Zoom. There was barely an internet. And she drove all the way from the valley, all the way out to Diamond Bar. It was well over an hour drive on a Tuesday night. And then she drove, somehow I convinced her. I was like, Mark was talking about, like, you're this little guy in a little executive suite pretending like you're running a big company. That was me. I think I was a senior associate at the time. I acted like a CEO. I acted like I was making a bunch of money. I don't know if I was like 16, 18, 23, got grand, rolling 12 in WFG at the time. I was like just a young, hungry buck just trying to crush it. And somehow I convinced this beautiful, talented MBA USC graduate that had an executive position to come back Wednesday morning, 4th of July morning, to interview me with me, because no other decision would be reasonable for her to make, right? Than to drive back on the 4th of July morning to to interview with me, which was another like 55 miles for her to drive, but she did it. And I'm just like, she's been such a blessing in my life, not just because I override her, like in more ways than I could describe this morning. As like I said earlier this morning, like Eugene taught me something 2 weeks ago. Nikki's taught me so much about so many different things over the years, and I'm grateful to her for that. So Nikki, would you bring us home, please? You on the call with us still? There she is.
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you. It was good to talk to you earlier this morning.
That was an awesome talk this morning. I appreciate our early morning talks. I know I'm after Dan, right?
You call
always
me first,
after
I'm
Dan
taking
every
your call
morning.
first. Yeah, I think you're just getting yourself together. He just like.
Yeah. Well, he's got the bald head, so he doesn't have to worry about much.
Yeah, we're not bald for shame. It's intentional.
Wow, what a great call this morning. I love hearing from Mark. I was sending Mark all kind of text messages, and Yvonne, like I was telling somebody the other day, Yvonne Paul, I was telling Dan last night because she opened for the BPM last night, and Dan and I were texting back when she was opening the BPM last night, introducing Louise and Dan and I were texting back and forth, and I said, I know she's really come into her own. Her identity has expanded like 10 times. And I'm so proud of her. And she did an amazing job on the BPM last night. And Evan and Lizzie, I'm so excited for their growth, and I'm excited for them to get their ring this month. How awesome is that? So, and Eugene and April, like Kermit and I were looking at some pictures the other day, because Kermit scrapbooks, and we literally came across pictures of Eugene and April back when we went to the Cancun trip. Eugene, I don't know if you remember the Cancun trip. It was out of control. That's the first time I ever met them, was on a Cancun trip, right? And so just to see like how much this team's come together. Christopher, I love you so much for the way that you bring us together, keep us together, keep us focused, provide the vision. Like, we could not have had a better leader coming into this crazy pandemic situation. You kept me grounded. You kept my, kept the team grounded. You kept Dan grounded, and Dan had great vision for this as well, but I know you were behind the scenes orchestrating a lot of things also. So appreciative of the leader that you are, and thank God I answered that call that day, and I drove all that way to, it was the barbecue though. You just got me with the barbecue. You were like, I barbecue, and I was like, you'll barbecue like I barbecue, right? So, so it's awesome. Hey, listen, I wanted to bring some levity as I close out the call today. It's interesting, the beginning of this year, we had spent some time with Dan and Sophia, and, one of Sophia's, what would you call it? Like her quote for the year, Sophia's quote for the year was, get your shit together. Like, that's her thing, like, get your shit together. And she'll tell Dan that too. She'll be like, what are you doing? Get your shit together. Let me put the accent on it. Get your shit together, right? Her German accent.
I have to intervene. That is said at least a half a dozen times a week in our family. Ever since she said that,
our family
that's
too.
our go-to in the family. I'm like, I probably shouldn't allow my kids to say that, but we all know what it means, and we all say it out of respect. We're like, hey, let's get our shit together, right?
And it's just been our like quote for the year. Yes. It really has, in our household, in our whole household. And so, we say it to each other all the time. And so coming into the year, I was like, God, I really need to get my shit together in a lot of different areas, in working out and getting into the gym and getting better fit and increasing my business and investing in my business and all of those things. And so coming into the pandemic, right, Kermit and I found this new quote. I'm going to share with you guys if I can. Let me see if I can share with you guys. And hold on one second. And this is our new quote coming into the pandemic. I got to share the volume too, though. Share computer share. Okay, there. So any of you guys that have seen the Hangover movie, you'll recognize this scene.
Feeling better? You all right? You warm enough?
I don't know. Come feel my balls and tell me. I've been locked in a fucking icebox all day.
Can you guys hear that?
Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
You want my awesome sunglasses? You just asked Chow. You don't have to kill me.
Chow, nobody killed you. You were already dead. You didn't have a pulse.
Oh, you never do blow before? Sometime your heart start up again. Read a book.
Look, I'm sorry. We're just having a bad day.
Oh, you're having a bad day? Did you die?
I got shot.
But did you die?
Chow.
Anyway, so that's our new that's our new quote in our household. But did you die? So it's like, so when I'm listening to Mark and I'm listening to Ivana, I'm listening to Eugene and Evan this morning, like the reality is, you guys, you know, did you die? Like you made 20 calls and 10 people told you no, but did you die? Like you were on 20 Zooms today and oh my God, it's so many Zooms and I'm so exhausted, but did you die? You know what I mean? It's like, let's put things into perspective. Like you're sitting in a chair in your office and you're, you know, you're making phone calls and you're on a Zoom, and I hear so many people complaining about how many Zooms there are and it's just too much and I can't keep up and, you know, all of these things. And the reality is, like, you guys, we couldn't have it. We couldn't have a better opportunity.
God.
We couldn't be in a better, we couldn't be in a better perfect storm than we're in a perfect storm within a perfect storm, right? So we're in the perfect storm in the financial services industry over the next 2 decades, but then we're also in this perfect storm with the pandemic, where we've got more than enough time, like we've eliminated all of the distractions, like we've got all of our friends and family that and neighbors and coworkers and just people out there in the world that we've got them totally captive, ready to listen to us. It's the perfect storm. So we just can't, I have nothing to complain about anymore. I've eliminated all my excuses and all my complaints, and I literally just decided that I'm just gonna have fun with it now. And so Kermit will come home and he rides his bike to work. He does like 4 virtual workouts a day. Now I don't know if you can imagine how hard that is on your joints, your elbows, and to be doing 4 virtual workouts a day with his different classes. And he doesn't sit there and tell them what to do. He does every single class with them. And then he rides his bicycle back home. And he's exhausted when he gets back home. And you know, I teased him. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And he said, "But did I die?" He's like, you know, like it's so funny because we say that to put things into perspective, and we say it to Cassius too. He's like, "God, that math test was so hard." We're like, "But did you die?" Right? So I think that sometimes we make it so much bigger than it is. Like you were talking about, Christopher, the friends and family event that Dewan talked about, and Yvonne has put the details to, and you know, we launched it, and then some people were like, "I gotta do it," and they jumped on it, and then other people were like, "Oh my God, but I don't know the technology, and I don't have a Zoom account, and what if my internet goes out, and I don't know how to share my screen," and I'm like, "Well, what the hell have you been doing the last 60 days? Because we've been doing this stuff the last 60 days. So how do you not have a Zoom account that goes past 40 minutes? How have you not upgraded the internet in your house? Like, get your shit together. This is the sign of the times, people, and you're going to be left behind if you don't get on this train and let the train start moving." So a couple of things that we've done, Christopher, you know, just in the last few weeks, because April was a great month, but what we wanted to do in May is we really wanted to be able to have the whole team make money in the month of May. And I got to tell you, Christopher, I don't know if you've seen the cycle today, but today, let me just tell you, Margie Hand made $2,400 on today's cycle. Jonathan Poole, $1,300 today. Delilah Christopher, $1,100 today. Shaq Abraham, $1,000 today. That's like 2 people in the same household. That's father and daughter making a comma check today in the same household. We had Ashley and Dee. I'll make almost a comma check today. Like, we're getting on this train now. And here's a couple of things that we're doing. We're focusing on, Rich Dolly always talked about the 3 languages. So number 1 is the language of helping people. That's one of his 3 languages. His 3 WFG love languages is the language of helping people. So one of the things that we did was we started doing 8:30 Club at the beginning of May. And we're doing it every single night, Monday through Friday, every single night at 8:30. The entire team gets on at 8:30, and we go through accountability. This was what you said you wanted to do at the beginning of May. You wanted to qualify for St. Martin. You wanted to get a promotion. You wanted to have a huge cash flow month. Whatever your goal is for May, guess what? The entire team is going to get on here, and we're going to focus on you, and we're going to hold you accountable, and we're going to help you. We're going to provide ideas. We're going to provide support, but mostly we're just going to provide accountability to you doing what you said you wanted to do for the month of May. So in doing that, we decided what the team goal was for May was 50 recruits and 80 new and 80, what we would call apps. But what we decided was, if we're in the language of helping people, then let's speak the language of helping people. So instead of calling people recruits, right, now on our spreadsheet, we call them new business partners whose lives have now been changed forever, right? You coded me that day, 4th of July, Christopher. My life was changed forever. I wasn't a code number. I wasn't a new recruit, right? I was a new business partner of yours whose life was changed forever, 4th of July, 20 years ago, right? And that's the language of helping people. And people can buy into that. People can get excited by that. People don't get excited about how many recruits do you have this month? How many recruits do you want to get this month? People get excited by how many new business partners do you want this month whose lives are going to be changed forever. And then instead of saying apps and points, right? How many apps you got? How many points you got? How many apps you got? How many points you got? So it's so like sterile. So instead of saying that, our language of helping people is, how many new families have you helped generationally today? How many new families have you helped generationally today? So instead of how many apps do you have, how many points do you have, how many new families have you helped generationally today? It just gives a whole new language and a whole new connotation for the language of helping people, right? And so we're doing that every single night at 8:30. And some people are like, oh my God, it's too many Zooms. I'm dying. I looked at Instagram this morning, and Ed Milet was jumping into his pool in his backyard after having done 20 Zooms that day. He did
Fully
20
dressed.
Zooms.
Fully dressed, he was jumping. Fully dressed
with his shoes on. He's jumping into his pool. He did 20 Zooms that day. And we got people that do 4, 5, 6 Zooms, and they're like, oh my God, it's too much Zooms. I can't do this much. And I told somebody the other day, I said, if you're worn out by Zooms and you're worn out by group meets, it's too many group meets. I can't keep up. It's too much. It's too much language. It's too much words. It's too much talking. It's like, how do you expect to ever grow a team of 50, 100, 150, 200, 300 people if you can't look at 3 group meets and have 4 or 5 Zooms a day? Like, if that's overwhelming for you, you'll never be big here. You'll just never be big here. Like, imagine having 100 people on your team in 30 different states around the country, right? That's where our team is at right now. So I can't be like, oh, it's too much communication. I can't take it. But did you die? No. You're growing something. You're growing something huge. You're growing something big. And the last thing that I'll end with, Christopher, is Dan was on our 8:30 p.m. Call the other night, and Dan said something that really, really changed it for me from a personal recruiting perspective. And he said that he gave a gym analogy. And he said that, the gym is not in the business of getting people fit. The gym is in the business of new memberships. And when he said that, I made such a huge distinction, because I think I spend way too much time trying to motivate people, trying to inspire people, trying to help people. Let me help you call the home office and get your agent coded and, get your this out of the website. And, oh, you don't know you got locked out of the website. I spend way too much time like motivating people for things that they should have, like, I shouldn't be motivating you to do your friends and family. I shouldn't even have to ask you more than once, is your friends and family event scheduled? Like, if I'm asking you more than once if your friends and family event is scheduled, you're one of those people that comes to the gym and you walk around the gym and you sit on this weight and you jump rope for a little bit and and then you go to the water fountain and then you're like, oh, I'm tired, gotta go home, right? You're one of those gyms. Maybe one day you'll get fit, maybe one day you won't. But my job is I got to be bringing in new memberships, because WFG is not in the business of motivating the unmotivated. WFG is in the business of bringing in constant new people and new blood who are motivated. Find the 20%ers who are motivated, who you can run with, who want it bad, who get their shit together, right? Who don't feel like they've died at the end of the day just because they took a class or did a Zoom or went on a bunch of appointments or had to upgrade their internet or whatever the case may be, right? Invest in your business, right? This is true, real business. And you got to invest in it first. It's like Mark said earlier, you talk to these people who are like, I haven't invested in my business first. Well, what kind of business are you running? I'm working with my personal trainer right now. And, and I asked him, because Kermit told me to ask him. I asked him, I'm like, are you certified? Have you gotten your nutrition certification, right? Have you all the equipment? Like, he came into the game with buying new equipment, showing me his certification, showing me his nutrition certification. He had invested in his business before he came to sit down with me, because he wanted to be that consummate professional when he came to work with me and now work with the rest of my team. He invested in his business first, and we got to do the same thing. We got to do the same thing for us in our business. So appreciate you guys.
Nikki, I want to just jump on that, and then you and I will finish. We got a couple pictures to share with the team, right? But on the gym analogy, I had a base shop call the other day, and I'm so glad you reminded me of this. But like, using this gym analogy with WFG, let's say you've got a gym, and here's the gym that you've got to offer to the members. It's the most sophisticated gym ever. What do I mean by that? You've got people that stretch you out before your workouts. You've got personal trainers. You got people that stretch you out afterwards. You got a chiropractor on staff. You've got a masseuse on staff. You got somebody teaching yoga. You've got a nutritionist on staff. You've got the most sophisticated cardio and weightlifting equipment available in the marketplace. This gym has everything you could imagine. We call this gym WFG, right? If you were marketing that gym and trying to sell gym memberships, I want you to just think about this as a business person. If that's the gym you're marketing, are you going out and trying to find a bunch of fat, lazy, out of shape people who've never been in a gym before and eat cruddy every day? And are you trying to convince them that they should exercise? Or are you going out to people who are already into fitness, out to people who are already into exercise, out to people who are already into taking care of themselves and going, hey, I know you're already into this. Look at the resources that we have here. The challenge is, from a WFG standpoint, too many of us are out going to people that are broke, that aren't motivated, that don't have no skills, that don't have no work ethic. We're trying to convince those people, no, you need to go out. People with money. When I recruited Nikki Kidd, she was already making money. She already had a great career. She already had a great job. That's why she was the perfect candidate for a gym that offered even more resources. So for some of us, it's a matter of shifting and trying to say, oh, we need to find these people who don't have any work ethic, no talent, no desire, no income, and convince them that they should be, as opposed to finding people that are already motivated, already successful, already winning, already want to do better, and go, hey, what if you plugged into our platform? What could you do here? You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
Last thing, I want to show you guys something that Nikki found for us. My wife pulled the trigger because Nikki mentioned, hey, some of you still compete for St. Martin. Bam! This is the villa that we just rented for the team in St. Martin. Is that bad or what? Now, let me see if I can. There's a couple more here. It's not letting me slide through. Oh, here we go. That's inside the villa. Can you guys see that okay? Bam.
Yep.
Let's do another one real quick here. This place is so lit. By the way, this comes with the villa. Bam! Just put Petro in it and you are good to go. Right? Nikki's already talking about getting the chef on board so that we don't have to cook, even though some of us enjoy cooking. Like, this villa is the team villa St. Martin, last week of July, first week of August. Some of you are still fighting and competing to join us. Some of us already got like everything, like our kids are so fired up, you can't imagine. We want you to be there with us. Here's all I'm asking you to do as we finish out the call. I can't guarantee whether or not you'll do everything it takes to win, but here's what I can ask you to do. Just like the widow in the book of Mark, whether you got two coins to give or you got a lot to give it everything that you got today. Give it all that you got tomorrow, and give it all that you got for the rest of this month. and shock your system and just see at the end, where did that get me and how good do I feel about the progress that I made? I appreciate you guys. Appreciate all of the leaders that contributed today. Love you guys, and look forward to the Super BBM tomorrow morning with Dan Charlier closing it out. Let's pack it out. Can't wait to help out and support and hear about your launch parties in the days and weeks to come. Take care, everybody.